How's it going, guys? My name is Sean. Welcome to Venom Racing, and right here is my wrecked 2016 Mustang GT. In today's episode, we already painted all the body panels. We're gonna go ahead and doing the final assembly. But first things first, we're gonna need to get caffeinated because we got a lot to do today, guys. So let's go ahead and get started.
Never gonna say goodbye, no.
Look outside, guys. I'm putting all the body panels outside right now to get baked up. I got that mirror finish. This is even before color sanding and buffing. Yeah, my plan is actually, since we just painted them about 2 days ago, what I've noticed in my experience is that if you give them enough time to dry, the clear coat to dry a little bit too long, it takes a lot longer to color sand them. So I'm going to give them about a little bit longer than 72 hours. I'm hoping this baking them throughout the sun will speed up the process a little bit. They look pretty good, but honestly, I want to go ahead and just color sand them, buff them, and make them look even that much better. We really didn't get any runs on any of the body panels, just mainly on the hood. We got a small, not the hood, the front bumper, we got a small little run. But that'll come out really easily. Let's see if I can find it for y'all guys. It's so small it might even be hard to see in the... Right, if I can even find it. It's right there, but we'll get that taken care of. Alright guys, so we're gonna go inside the shop, and from here on out I'm gonna go ahead and start putting the front end back together. At first I'm gonna go ahead and put the front impact sensors in, then I'm gonna go ahead and put the SRS module back inside the car. We'll see if it turns all the airbag lights off. Let's get to it, guys. Alright guys, I got some bad news. We're out of caffeine. But on to the next thing. Here's how the front end looks like after I've been buttoning it up for the most part. It's been taking quite a bit of time just trying to figure out how everything goes back together. But it's slowly coming together, all the wires. I'm figuring out where everything goes to. Go back into focus. There we go. Got the air filter back on, got all the little brackets running on my wires and everything. It's slowly coming together. Got the little front impact sensors right here, the airbags, brand new. And then after this, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the SRS airbag module back inside the car. And then we're gonna see if the airbag lights came off or if the airbag's gonna blow in my face. Guess we'll find out. Moment of truth, we're gonna go ahead and hook the battery back up, and we're gonna turn the car on and see if the airbag lights are still on, or if not, y'all guys are gonna get hit with the airbag just with me. And also, we bought a brand new horn, so let's go ahead and test this bad boy out too, Bodywork. Because the biggest thing on these new cars, buying wrecked cars and stuff, is getting the damn airbag light off. That's the biggest headache. Alright guys. Shit, what was that? I don't know, we'll figure it out. Let's see. Oh, would you look at that, guys? No airbag light. Cut that. So actually, bad news. I do have the airbag light on, the ABS light on, the whole 9 yards still. Well, guess we'll have to troubleshoot that. Well guys, I'm so sad about that, but let's see if our horn works. Our horn works. Well, at least we got one thing fixed, right? Let me maneuver my way through these body parts over here. Guys, we have some success. So, the reason the ABS light was on, I did some thinking last night. I was thinking the only thing I really changed at that time was that driver's side knuckle, and I changed out the brake pads. So I didn't figure it was the brake pads, so I went ahead and I was like, oh, well the wheel sensor would potentially set off the ABS light and traction control. So I grabbed the old knuckle, as you can see here, and I went ahead and just plugged it in. I don't know if you can see here, but I went ahead and just plugged the old wheel sensor in and unplugged the new wheel sensor that's in the new knuckle, and voila, ABS light is off. So I'm going to go ahead and change out the wheel sensor, and then we'll get the fenders on. Success!
Don't say goodbye, no.
not the best, but here's the driver's side fender with the side skirt back on. Here's the passenger side, and honestly, these Icon Designs GT350 style front fenders actually fit really well. Have good fitment. Now, it did take me a while because we had to slot out some of the holes to get everything to align in perfect, but we have a really good gap on each side. And we'll see how the front end comes out in a second. I was going to go ahead and fit the headlights next, but I'll probably go ahead and color sand and buff the fenders first, so I figure that way we don't accidentally scratch the headlights. So let's go ahead and get to that part next. You guys already know what time it is. New parts time. So what came in the mail today is the OPT7 lighting corner lights, corner signal lights. And these should function as turning signals on the bottom side, but also as a daytime running light as well too. They're LED sequential, so they look pretty cool. Versus, they're similar to what the 2018 Mustang GT kind of their turning signals look like versus the 2015 and 2017. So here's the fenders as they sit right now. I don't know if y'all can tell how much orange peel. And we got a little bit of trash in the paint as well when you're shooting, which it's really hard to get a perfect paint job without color sanding and buffing, but see, I don't know if you can see that right there, all that orange peel. And that's what we're going to eliminate by color sanding. Disclaimer, this is not a show car, it's more going to be a daily driver, but I want it to look good. So I'm not going to go to 3000 grit sandpaper. Alright, disclaimer's gone. Alright, so first I'm going to start off at 800, just on like maybe if there's any runs or any big spots I really need to get down. I'm not going to hit the whole fenders with 1800 or 800 because I feel like that's a little bit too rough for the whole fender if you're just getting the orange peel out. And these are freshly painted after about 4 days, so they should still be a little bit soft and it should come off a little bit easier. So after we get 800 down, we're going to move up to about 1000. So 1000, I'm going to go ahead and rough up the whole fender with 1000. And it's a really fine grit sandpaper, so it's going to take out all the orange peel for the most part. If you start like at let's say 15 or 2000 to begin with, you're really just going to be smoothing out the orange peel. You're not going to be actually taking it out. So you're just going to be smoothing out the I guess mountains instead of actually taking them down. So we're going to start off with 1000, get all the orange peel out, and then we're going to go back over it with 1500, and the 1500 is going to, it's a lot finer grit than 1000, so that's going to smooth out and take out a lot of the scratches. And then from there we're going to go ahead and actually start buffing. We're going to use a buffing compound to start off with. We'll get to that part in a second, but let's go ahead and start the color sanding process. Probably the most time extensive part of painting a car. Alright, let's get to it. So this is going to be my stopping point with the 1000 grit. As you can see, it's pretty uniform. There's a little bit of high and low spots, but the 1500 which should get the rest of that little small areas out of it. But pretty much it's pretty uniform all across. Pretty smooth. And from here on out, the thing is you don't want to go too low and actually go through the clear coat. So I'm going to switch to the 1500. It'll be a little bit safer, higher grit. We'll take all the scratches out, then we'll go to buffing on the next stage. I don't know if you can see, but this is after hitting it with the 1500. It is very uniform. The shine is completely gone. And you can see that we have no high and, well, that's my fingerprint, it's still a little bit wet. You can see we have no high and low spots. It's all uniform and smooth. So if you do decide to go with a higher grit sandpaper, let's say 2000 and 3000, honestly you'll have less buffing work to do because essentially the compound buffer is kind of a really high grit sandpaper in this sort of sense. So it won't take as long to buff, but I normally stop around 1500 and then I'll go ahead and buff from here on out. Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and charge the camera because it's about to die. And so I'm going to go ahead and sand the passenger side, then I'll show you all the buffing part of it all. Let's get it, guys. So the next step, what we're going to do is we're actually going to buff the vehicle out. First things first, we're going to go ahead and start off with the 3M Perfect Rubbing Compound. And with that, we're going to use a different sanding disc. I forget exactly which one this is, but we're going to use a different disc for the buffer versus what we're going to do in the polishing step. So this is the first step. We're going to go ahead and buff it all the way out until we get a nice shine and it's going to be nice and smooth. And then after we're finished with that and we get rid of all the dualness and it's all shiny again, we're going to go back with the polishing compound to remove all the swirls and make it look even that much better. So it almost looks like you're looking into the mirror. Alright, I think I know where I'm going with this. So color sanding and buffing, while it's not a required part of the painting process, it is highly recommended. I mean, honestly, OEM paint jobs, if you look at them, they do have a little bit of orange peel in them, a little bit. So honestly, when you go back and color sand and buff a vehicle and make it nice and smooth, your paint job is going to look better than OEM. So let's go ahead and get started on the buffing, and then we'll see how it turns out.
Never gonna say goodbye, no.
Alright guys, here you go. Here's what it should look like after the first compounding buff. And if you look at that, this is even before I do the final stage 3, the polish and swirl remover. Look at that, it's just like a mirror. It's definitely worth the time to color sand and buff. You can look at that, I mean, look at that. Use that light as an example of how there's no orange peel at all, even at this stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a comparison of how it was before and after, if this is worth it. Look at that. Here's the other side that I haven't buffed yet. So guys, don't be afraid to color sand and buff because you're afraid of color sanding and like sanding into your new paint job, because look at these results. It is definitely worth it. Take your time and be careful. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to buff the passenger side with the stage 1, then I'm going to switch to the stage 3, and then I'll show you all the final results. Also, another quick tip, before you put the pad on the car, go ahead and like massage a little bit of the compound into the pad, kind of get it pre-lubricated, I guess, beforehand, you know. Don't want to go in dry because, yeah. Alright, I'll just shut up and go to the next part.
6.5 hours later.
Next step we're going to do is the stage 3 polish and swirl mark remover. And it's going to be buffing just like the other stage, except this one, I normally only do one pass through, but I take my time on this one and fully just polish it completely out, and then I'll show you all the end results. Here you go guys, here's the final product on the driver's side. Look at that, number 1 final finish. Look at that mirror finish. It's number 1. Man. Honestly, at first I was kind of lazy and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to color sand this car, it's going to be my daily driver, but I'm really happy I did. It took a few hours, but that's just the fenders. I still got to do the hood and the bumper, but I'm really glad I went ahead and did that. Next body parts we got to get is the front bumper and
Never gonna say goodbye, no.
Here's how she looks, guys. All finished up. Man, look at that mirror finish. That's 4.5 hours worth of body sand or color sanding and buffing, guys. Look at that. It's like a damn mirror. Look. Who's this jackass? Who's that? See, look. You can even see John. He's not even here. Man. Whew. It looks pretty good. I'm very happy with this.
Day 2.
How's she looking, guys? The hood is mounted on the car along with the fenders. You can see that mirror finish after color sanding and buffing. Let's see. Look at that. So here's the fenders along with the hood, both color sanded and buffed. Yes, the car's dirty, but it'll be clean once we're all finished. Next thing we're going to do today is we're probably going to throw the headlights in and start buttoning up the front a little bit. And then sadly, we're not done with color sanding and buffing yet. Still have this SOB over here to color sand and buff. guys, here how she looks. Man, that is a good looking Mustang. So I went ahead and color sanded and buffed the front bumper, and I went ahead and put the Icon GT350 style front bumper together, and that was kind of a pain in the ass, to be completely honest with you. But that honestly took a lot more time than aligning the fenders and the hood, if you want to know the truth. But man. And those are the OPT7 LED corner lights. I haven't plugged them in yet, but I literally just put the bumper on the car. It's not even bolted in completely. I just kind of have it sitting on there at the current moment. I wanted to give you all a sneak peek. Man, that looks good. With the fenders and the hood, man, just a complete package. That looks amazing. Alright guys, I think that's going to end today's episode. It was a lot of body work. It was actually over a span of a few days, but I didn't want to just put out just a video of just every little bits and piece. I wanted to do a whole video dedicated to getting all the body work done, the paint, the color sanding, and the buffing, and the assembly of the car. Now the car is not finished. There's still little odds and ends that need to be done, general maintenance. I mean, the car is dirty as hell. It needs to be cleaned up in general. I need to change the oil, like I said, normal maintenance items, and I need to go ahead and put the little odds and ends back together, align the front bumper a little bit better, and like I said, a few little odds and ends. So there's a lot more to come. I think the next video is going to be the final video of the build. Like I said, I have a few things I want to do to it, like a new set of wheels maybe coming in the future, you know. A few little odds and ends. Maybe the GT Performance Pack, Stage 2, where you have the tune with the GT350 Voodoo intake manifold. I might do something like that, but we'll see later on down the road. But here's how she sits right now. I am super happy with how she looks. Maybe get a little bit wider front tire, wheels and tires set up, you know. I mean, it'll look better later on down the road. But if you guys haven't already subscribed to our channel, go and hit that subscribe button. Like the video, it really helps us out. And throw a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the GT350 style. Like I said, I don't want to be a copycat, but I just love the look of the GT350, so that's why I went with this design. I figured since the front end was going to need front end pieces anyways, why the hell not? So I hope y'all guys enjoyed this series. Go ahead and like, and I will see y'all guys in the next one.
Never gonna say goodbye, no.